Another edition of Wings Weekly starts now. Jake Klein Connect here along with head coach Scott Langer. And coach, before we jump into the weekend, huge shout out to the Aberdeen Lady Cougars on their state championship that they won yesterday in a 1-0 tight game against Sioux Falls. That is, I was thinking about this morning a bit, and I started to do a little check-in, and I checked with our own Aaron Smith. Their 7th state championship in 10 years. That's pretty dang amazing. And congratulations, ladies, and all your hard work and everything that you've been able to accomplish. Boys varsity coming up this next weekend, and good luck to them. Well, Coach, a 4-1 loss on Friday. Early goal from the blue line kind of changed the game, but surely you had some chances. Outshot 40-20 in that matchup, but some key scoring chances, and Luke Backel with a very tenacious goal there where he stayed with it, came around from the back of the net and took a couple of stayed in the gritty area, like we've talked about. Your thoughts on Friday night? I know on Saturday we kind of chatted a little bit, and you said there wasn't a whole lot to take away from it because it wasn't the best start, but your thoughts on Friday's matchup?
Yeah, I mean, extremely slow start. They pinned us in the zone for the first 2 minutes, create a lot of momentum, and then we're on the road and we take a penalty, which doesn't help our situation at that point. And they ended up throwing a floater to the back of the net, and I think that really changed our mindset, and it probably shouldn't have. We should be pushing back right away and going back after them, and I just thought they carried the pace.
Well, obviously, you got to, as we always talk about, you got to put them behind you, and you move on to Saturday and try to change things up a little bit. Unfortunately, a 4-1 loss on Saturday night as well. And I said this in the broadcast probably too many times, and I'm going to say it again now. I feel like that breakaway and the collision that happened with Turner, took 2 guys out of the play, created an opportunity in front of our goal. There were Duvall's trying to make a save and so on. But again, you got 2 guys down on the ice. That seemed like it was like one of those fluky, weird plays that kind of changed things, at least in my mindset too. But again, I know you guys see this game a whole lot differently than I do. Your thoughts on Saturday? What went well? What didn't?
They had good goaltending. I would say that they definitely had the edge on us in the goaltending spot. I mean, but we gave up a couple breakaways. But when you're fighting for your life, you got to have one or 2 of them. The collision was embarrassing in a lot of ways. Obviously, we lose manpower over it. At this level, probably shouldn't happen, but it definitely changed the entire game at that point. You got one of your teammates down and out, and you're down to. Winkler was in the box at one point too. I think we had 3D that we were playing with. So it's hard to win against a good hockey team like Minot when your numbers aren't there and you're doing things like that to create your own adversity. So that's kind of how the weekend went right there. That hit right there summed up our weekend.
Unfortunately, no trip up to Minot, like you said, a good hockey team up there right now in Minot, but a team that you're 4-8 against on the season. Now, unless I'm mistaken, of all the Central Division teams, of the 13 losses that they have, you've given them more losses than any other team in the Central. And as we get closer and closer towards the end of the season, what did you see from Minot that you feel like, okay, well, we should have done this better, we need to do this better, because it's very possible that you're going to see them again, whether it's in the playoffs, or wherever, because again, they're at the top of the division, second as far as wins go in the entire league, and their power play percentage, penalty kill percentage, top of the entire league. They're doing some things right up there. But a team, and I know, we always talk about like not thinking that far ahead, but getting a chance to see them in their building and see what do they do well? What do you have to do against them if you end up, hypothetically speaking, and I know you're not great at, that hypotheticals are not part of this plan, but what do you got to do different?
Our work ethic needs to be better. We need to compete for 60 minutes against them. It's the only way that we can beat them. That's the only way we beat them in the past. It's the same thing with Bismarck. We need to have a full 60 minutes of solid, structured hockey, and that's the type of team we have right now in our locker room. And Minot's got three big-time lines that they throw out there, and then their fourth line had 2 goals against us this weekend. So they're coming at you with four lines.
A lot of depth.
So your 4 lines have to be good, because you're on the road. You can't really cut down your bench. Especially in those type of games, you need everybody to have their legs. So they had the last matchup. They did a good job matching up, and we got to be a lot better. I don't know any other. Everybody's searching for answers. The answers sit in this locker room. They sit in these stalls. That's where the answers are. That's where it is at this time of the year.
Yep.
Right. We can give them all that we want, and the staff is working extremely hard at giving them the tools and doing everything we can with the pre-scout and the development on the ice. I feel good about that, but it's in this locker room, and when it steps out of this locker room, they're the ones that have to prove the point.
No doubt the staff is doing everything they can. It just comes down to man to man what they've got to do for sure. Injuries and sicknesses and things like that certainly haven't helped here lately. What it seemed like the Wings were getting healthy toward down the stretch. Some issues there for sure. So that doesn't help. But you just mentioned it, a full 60 minutes. It seems like consistency has been a common concept that we've talked about, and a common topic, I guess, that we've talked about. Is that something at this point in the season that you can still work on, or do you just kind of have to roll the dice and say this is what we've got?
I think it's a mentality. Mm-hmm. It's just a complete mentality. We talk about being hockey tough and then being a warrior and all that stuff, and this is the time of the year when if you really are that, it shows. Mm-hmm. It rises to the top. Our issue right now is that I think you noticed, you probably sit up there, watch the whole game. Our best players are our young guys. And, the Gibber Coles of the world and the Grant Winklers have come to the top. They've developed like we wanted them to, and now they're playing top minutes for us.
Yep.
Now you need your older guys to step up and to lead the way. Those guys are giving you good solid minutes. You need your leaders to score the big goal, give the big hit, get the big fight, block the huge shot. All those little things that come down to winning hockey games. You can break it right down to the last shot block. We need to find that within the room. There's good hockey players in here, but being a good hockey player and getting on the ice and performing that are 2 different things.
Right. Right, that is very true. And as you said, there's been definitely some improvement in some of these guys, and you can see it. And there's, even talk around the community about, what they're seeing and so on. But guys like Comfort, guys like Tishkovich, blocking shots. I think Tishkovich had probably 5-6 blocked shots on Saturday night. There are guys that are putting a lot of effort in. There's no denying that. So we're not taking anything away from anyone. Just there are guys that are definitely starting to stand out. Now, you and I talked going into Saturday too about turnovers and trying to limit them, and I mentioned it too, that it seemed like, and again on Saturday, neutral zone, that was a lot of the turnovers seemed to me that they were happening in the neutral zone. How do you limit that, and is there a reason when you look back as a coaching staff and you're watching it happen? Now granted, there's intercepted passes, there's a hit, there's this, that, but is there something, a common denominator, a common thread where you can look at it and go, this is why we are doing this and what we need to change?
Fighting the process.
Yeah.
You talk about those type of turnovers from day one. Everybody in hockey knows where the turnovers come from and how they hurt you. You just hope at some point the guys figure it out where they know, there's a time and a place to try to make a play, or there's a time and a place to get pucks behind defensemen's feet and just go to work. And you've seen that against Saturday night. We had a straight 3-on-2, Nick Comfort ready to drive the net. We do a drop pass, it goes back the other way, that goes into the back of the net. Didn't work on that for 94 practices. Right. So when things like that start happening, guys are pushing. Guys are trying to be over creative because we are getting outscored and we are losing some hockey games, and sometimes pressing makes you have some very bad habits.
Year in and year out, we see that, that when we talk about holding the stick tight, whatever, when there is pressure on, it becomes a more difficult challenge for sure. Well, Minot, again, top of the division. They're number 1. Bismarck in 2nd right now. Austin is now in 3rd. Wings dropped to 4. St. Cloud in 5th. And North Iowa in 6th. That's the way the Central Division standings are shaking out right now. Up next, you're back home here at the Odde Center against Bismarck, and Bismarck's been hot. And they have played well. They've played tough against you guys, but you play tough against them too. What do you, and again, only a week ago, you saw the Bobcats. What are some keys?
Well, we can't wait tonight too to put our game together. I mean, it's got to come out Friday night. We have what we have to play that game. We're not finding anybody else to go into the lineup at this point. So whatever we have come Friday night, those guys have to compete, and they need to play structured hockey like I keep talking about, because that's what we need to do as a team. Everybody pre-scouting us knows when we're on our game, we're good, we're structured, we're above the puck, we're tough to play against, and our goaltending's good. So all that stuff that needs to shine at home, and we control our own fate when it comes to making the playoffs or not. So the chips are down.
Yeah, that leads me to maybe a little bit of a weird question, but to the casual observer or the casual hockey fan, you just said when teams are looking at pre-scout and they know that when you're doing things well, you're tough to beat, but on the flip side of that, when you aren't playing structured hockey, things aren't going your way. Is that something completely internal, or is that something that as other teams are watching film, they're like, we can do this to mess up their structure?
Yeah, there's a little of both. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, teams spend a lot of time during the week of pre-scouting their opponent and finding ways to exploit their weaknesses. So, we're the same way. But there's a certain identity, I think, anybody would say when they watch our team, and we do have a win versus when we have a loss. It's night and day the way we play. Now you say, okay, well, as a coach, how can you consistently get them to play that way? Well, it's just keep being demanding, and like they're going to do it or they're not going to do it. I mean, this is the age group where they can become a little defiant with how they want to do things in hockey. They think everything's on Instagram, all the highlights on Instagram or how the game is played, and they don't realize that there's a lot of guys making $2 million in the NHL that are having to do all the dirty work so that one guy can make Instagram.
Right.
So
that's actually a great analogy.
That's what we're at right now as a fraternity in the coaching world. So, you know what? We again, we need to put this one aside. It's a bad taste. Great for Minot. They did a great job. They beat us 8-2 over the weekend. So now we need to focus on how we can play Bismarck and try to salvage some points.
Without a doubt. All right, Coach. I say it all the time, but I know you're a busy guy, and I know how much you love doing these shows and having to break these things down, because it's frustrating when they come off getting swept like that, for sure. I get that, but it's always nice to pick your brain and get a little bit of insight and let the fans know a little bit more about what's going on behind the scenes, so to speak. So thank you, and good luck against Bismarck coming up at the Odde Center this weekend.
Thanks, Jay.
All right, folks. Second portion of Wings Weekly will come up right after this.
Bar and Event Center is your official home for the Aberdeen Wings. Stop down for an ice-cold beer or drink and choose from one of the many excellent food options on their menu, available for both lunch and dinner. And when your Aberdeen Wings are on the road trying to earn their way back to the Robertson Cup Championship, come on down to City Lights and watch the away games as the audio and video are streamed live. City Lights Bar and Event Center, the official home for the Aberdeen Wings on South 2nd Street, just south of the overpass in Aberdeen.
Second portion of Wings Weekly continues on, and as usual, a player is joining me, and this time it is Grant Winkler of Duluth, Minnesota. Thank you so much for taking some time to join us here, Grant. I'm looking forward to talking to you here, all your in getting your perspective on junior hockey, on your hockey career, all of these kinds of things. We're not going to talk much about the weekend because it wasn't a whole lot of fun up there in Minot, but we are going to talk about your play and what's inspired you here lately too. But let's start with your start. Where were you? Now, Duluth, obviously, every time I talk to a Minnesota guy, I mean, I swear that you guys come out of the womb or like wearing diapers, have skates on. When did you get started?
I think I was like 4 years old or something like that. Started skating, and I don't really remember much, but I remember like all my friends did it. Most people did it, so that's just kind of how I got into it.
Do you have any like family or anybody that kind of inspired you or pushed you that way, or was it just because some of your friends were doing?
I think it was mostly my friends. Like my dad didn't play hockey.
Yeah.
My mom didn't. My grandpa did though. So, and my uncle did. So. Yeah, it was kind of just my friends, I think, just growing up there.
Right on. Well, we'll talk a little bit about your family here in just a moment too, but it's always curious, and it's a typical question, I know, when these interviews happen or whatever, that, people ask about the start, because I think it's important to know that. I think that it's important for kids, that are fans, that are running around in the stands at the Odde Ice Center, with their sticks, or they're playing knee hockey and whatnot, that they can start at any time, really. It's never too late and never too early. Get them going and learn the love of the game. You are, how do I put this? So, I think it was the beginning of this year, or maybe last year, at the showcase. I was walking through, and these kids were coming in, because at the showcase, there's of course all the null teams, but there's NA3, and then there's some U under teams and stuff that are playing on the other side of the rink and so on. And these kids are walking through with their roller bags, and they're going, NAHL? What's that? Well, who are the Wings? And I just kind of remember looking at this kid, and I'm like, kid, if you want to keep playing, you better figure it out. You, being from Duluth, and being the stone's throw from Cloquet and the Wilderness, who we used to play on a regular basis up there at the in Cloquet, would likely have known about the NAHL and about the NHL teams and so on as you were rolling along, and probably have known some people that maybe have played for the Wilderness or whatever else, again, because you were that close to a team. Now, not many of these guys in this locker room can say the same. Would you say that's fair? Did you know about the NAHL and the level of experience that was needed and the advancement opportunities that it can provide?
Yeah, I was. I just knew it was like the next level from high school. And there was Duluth East players that played for the Wilderness, so I was aware of the NAHL. Yeah.
Like I said, you look around the locker room, and I think there's a lot of people that I don't think ever really, other than I said, with Duluth being as close to the Wilderness, I don't think there's anybody that really has ever played that close to another team, before, or grew up, I should say, not played for, but grew up with a team in their backyard in a lot of ways. So, did you ever go into any Wilderness games?
Yeah, I did.
Did you see the Wilderness play the Wings?
No.
No?
I don't think. I wasn't aware that they used to be in the same
division.
Division, yeah. I started going to the Wilderness games more later, like sophomore, junior, senior year, more consistently, because one of my best friends billeted one of the kids. So, yeah, I did go to quite a few.
Yeah, they were in the Central for quite a while. That was a long road trip, and we spent a lot of time up there, actually. Anyway, moving along, I thought that was curious because of the proximity and how you grew up. As a defenseman, now, your game, and Coach just mentioned it, actually. You, Jibber Cool, some of the younger guys that are really starting to shine and are starting to improve, and you can see that improvement. What do you think is leading that charge? What is working well for you?
Probably just getting more comfortable playing at this level and practicing more, seeing ice. The coaching staff coaching us, they've done a really good job.
Sure.
Yeah.
So do you think, is it the speed of the game and all the, like physicality perhaps? Or what are some of the things that you said when you get used to it at this level, what does it mean to get used to it? What changes?
All of the above, I would say.
Go.
More physical, speed, you have to be faster. Yeah, pretty much all of the above. You just have to grow as a hockey player when you get to this level.
Got to, and growing. That's the thing. You can never stop that. You got to keep continuing to work on your game. And like I said, I think it's been pretty well documented here lately that your game has continued to grow, and you can see that physicality when you see that the hustle and the drive that you've got, and the tape-to-tape passes, and all those kinds of things. So that's good on you. Congratulations, and you keep working. That's fantastic. I wanted to ask a little bit about your position now as a defenseman. Were you always kind of along a blue liner, or thinking that that's the direction you were going, or were you ever considering any other positions?
No, I was a forward all the way up until I got to high school.
Really?
Yeah. My high school coach switched me to defense, so I played defense. I played a little bit of forward in high school, but mostly defense. So yeah, I was pretty undecided on what I was going to do.
How does that conversation go? How do you when he pulls you aside and says, "Look, I need you to play D," were you like, "Oh man," or were you like, "Oh heck yeah, let's go"? How did that go?
I was kind of like, "Okay, coach, I don't know. I'll do it. I'll do what you say."
I'll do what you say.
Yeah.
No excitement one way or the other.
Yeah.
But I've laughed at I often talk about with defensemen that skating backwards, the transition, all of those things. A lot of people may not think it. They may look at this team, not just this year's team, look at, Volkov or Tishkovich or whoever, and Weisner, and say, well, they're the best skaters, they're the fastest out there, whatever. The reality is, oftentimes it's a defenseman that is one of the better skaters out there as far as, having their feet under them and being able to make that transition and to be able to, attack from an angle and different things like that. Do you think that's true?
I think I'm not going to say that the defenseman's going to be the fastest straight line, but yeah, you have to have really good feet, because a lot of defending is with your feet, staying in the right position,
absolutely.
Angling. So yeah, I think that is true.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I'm glad you pointed that out, because that's kind of what I was saying. I didn't mean necessarily if you're going line to line, who's going to be faster, but in transition and the angles and different things like that, it's not always the easiest thing, and people often look at forwards and think, oh, they're the best skaters out there, but you'd be surprised at how well defensemen can skate, and I think in a lot of ways that's pretty cool. All right, off the ice. All right, you wouldn't be surprised. You would be surprised, I guess, is what I was getting at. Off the ice, hobbies, interests, what do you like to do?
I like to golf in the summer.
Well, it's hard to golf in the winter, so.
True. I like fishing and hunting.
Yeah? Outdoorsman?
Yeah. Those are probably my main three hobbies.
What do you hunt? You hunt deer?
Pheasants? Once a year I hunt deer. I mostly duck hunt.
Yeah?
We hunted pheasants a little bit this year in Aberdeen. Yeah, I got a few. It was fun. But
how about a fisher? As a fisherman, what's your biggest conquest? Had some big fish, some wall mounters.
Yeah, I think the fish I'm going after, I want to catch.
Yeah.
Either a 30-inch walleye or a 50-inch muskie, probably.
Muskie? Oh, okay. Well, Duluth, I suppose that makes sense.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of those around here, folks. We don't have a lot of muskie, but okay. So I always ask these goofy questions about superheroes and strengths and all these kinds of things, right? So what's your superpower? What's it going to be? If you can be the Incredible Hulk, strong as heck, or you can fly or whatever it is, what do you pick?
Probably flying around, I guess.
Yeah, being able to fly.
Can't really go wrong with that.
Okay, now flip side of that. If you can fly 10 miles per hour only up to 10 miles per hour, or run 100 miles per hour, which one do you choose? If you have the ability to do either, you can run 100 miles an hour, or you can fly anywhere at 10 miles per hour.
Probably run 100 miles per hour, just because getting to point A to point B faster, I guess.
Okay, but what about water and mountains and things like that? Flying, you can go over.
There's not many mountains in Aberdeen.
That's true, but there are in the world. If you're running 100 miles an hour, you're going to run into a mountain somewhere.
What are you getting tired? Or no? Is that not in the question?
That's not in the question.
Okay.
No, your stamina is not in the question.
Okay.
You can run wherever you want.
I don't know. I might have to rethink that, but
You're still thinking fly or run.
Yeah.
See, and I know I say this, but it's funny to me when I ask this question of older people, they always say fly. So like they're just going to take their time and just fly up there. And younger guys like you, like I want to go. I want to go, run, fly, fly fast or run fast. Anyway, all right, so another question I like to ask people, again, because even though it's the same question, it changes from person to person. What's your final meal going to be? What are you going to have? If you've got a meal that you can build from scratch, from the appetizer, from whether it's a soup, whether it's your mom's dumplings or whatever it is that she makes, grandma's coffee cake, whatever it is, what's your meal look like when you lay that out in front of you?
probably just a cheeseburger with mushrooms and onions and fries.
That's it?
Yeah.
Wow. No dessert, no nothing?
Chocolate cake.
Okay. All right, well, we've got Bismarck coming up here this weekend at home after a couple weeks on the road here. I was just talking to Coach Langer a little bit about, Bismarck and what they can do, and certainly what Minot can do and what they've done. But you guys are able to pull out a win on Saturday night there. What do you feel like as a group, when you talk to the guys, like when the coaches aren't in the locker room, obviously there's meetings and there's video sessions and all of these things that you guys go through, but when the coaches aren't in here, what do you guys talk about? What needs to happen for you to win at the ODI Center against Bismarck this weekend?
I think we just need to come together as a group as best we can. We got to start doing it soon. I think we are pretty close as a group, but I think we just need to keep growing, listening to our coaches, and just finding ways to win. We know what to do, so
Sure.
we don't need to talk too much more. We need to support each other and just find ways to get some points.
Well, as good of an answer as any, that's for sure. Well, again, folks, we have the Bismarck Bobcats coming to town this weekend. I Hate Winter, Free Kids Friday. Kids 12 and under will receive free admission with purchase of an adult ticket. I Hate Winter giveaways going on at the door, too. Corporate game sponsor is Nutrient Ag Solutions. Aberdeen Cougar Pee Wee Bees will be recognized at the first intermission. Saturday, March 9th versus Bismarck. The small dog race is going on. That happening again on Saturday, March 9th. Email Aaron at asmith@aberdeenwings.com for more information. Corporate game sponsor is Ray Hybrids. Post-game party with the team at City Lights Bar and Event Center on South 2nd Street, just south of the overpass. And for all the latest news and information on the Wings, visit aberdeenwings.com or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram. And this video can be seen on YouTube as well. Anybody you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Shout out to my parents, my grandparents, and my 2 dogs.
Dogs are listening. Are they small dogs? Can they be in the race?
Small dogs?
Yeah, small dog race on Saturday night?
One of them is a small dog. She's pretty old, though.
Yeah, probably not that fast. Okay.
Probably not.
Well, either way, small dog race coming up on Saturday night, folks. Grant Winkler, defenseman extraordinaire, thank you so much for joining me. And all of you, thank you for listening and watching. And again, Wings at the ODI Center coming up this Friday and Saturday night, 7:15 puck drop, pregame at 7 o'clock on 94.1 The Rock and on NAHL TV. Thank you for watching, and this will wrap up this week's Wings Weekly.